Hey guys, my name is JessiMew, and welcome back to Adam's Quest. In the last episode, we saw the birth of our strongest little bird yet. Captain Jack Sparrow, the sky pirate perhaps, is going to take off for the bluebirds as soon as he's old enough to do so. It's just in time too because his own mother is about to pass, and she was the last one with the double wings. So many of our creatures have had the unfortunate condition where they have only one wing to their name, so they aren't able to take to the skies, and it stunts their strength too. Miana, for instance, has always felt so frustrated because she's confined to the ground. Not like her amazing big sister who can just fly after those bluebirds. She's forced to stay on solid ground here, but she has found a way to prove herself now, and maybe to prove to the rest of her tribe that she's finally worthy to take on those bluebird feathers. She only has one turn left though, so I think we're going to have her dig out some of the snow by the balance bear. I'm hoping that the balance bear is going to chase after lightning. She did land a few good attacks, so I would imagine that it's going to be out for revenge soon. That leaves us with just our creatures over by the shores of Balance, where the Balance sisters have truly laid claim to this land. Part of it is all thanks to Flurry, but of course with Raven and Ranger involved. They're kind of like the new version of the Balance sisters in a way. With their heat bodies, they're perfectly designed for the mountains, and they're going to make sure that all of these new babies are kept safe. So as Marina tries her best to teach her little baby how to fly, or at least how to find his wings, I think she's going to realize quite quickly that her duty lies elsewhere too. On her very final day, I suppose there's still the chance that she could land one good attack on this bird. And I guess there would be no better way to show Sparrow what his duty is going to entail too. So let's bring her all the way up to the peaks. And I guess we'll have her lie in wait. Hopefully the bluebird is going to circle back around again. How fitting that this bluebird is up at the tallest peak of the mountain. That's where she actually fought her very first bluebird battle, and it was what made her a leader in the eyes of so many. Mostly it was just because of her patience, so it's kind of funny how this has all come full circle for her. So I guess what we could do next is maybe bring Hawthorne and Kiara back toward their tribe mates too. They've actually finished their rituals up here. Kiara helped Hawthorne put the remains of her father and his sister to rest, which finally marks the comeback of the gravediggers of old. But they know for sure that their job isn't done. And in fact, if perhaps Kiara can feel that same sort of pull that our gravediggers once could, I wonder if she would follow in Marina's shadow instead. She knows that Marina is very close to the end of her lifespan, so maybe they could find some roots up near the tallest peaks. It often seems to be pretty bare up here, but assuming that the roots always spawn in the same sort of locations, I know that there were plenty of roots up here when we were living on the peaks. So maybe that would be a good place for us to explore. We never did go that far with Hawthorne because he turned back for the roots over by the ports. So yeah, let's bring Kiara up here for a moment. Maybe she could even settle down inside this hot spring. In fact, we could potentially bring Marina up there too, if we can find a way to shovel past all of the snow. Go ahead and pick up the sponge for us, and then I think that's about as far as Hawthorne can go. We'll bring him right here, that way he can light up the hot spring for her, and she can dive back into that old familiar space. Now, can you land just one attack on the bird? Oh, it looks like it is so close. It must be on like this tile right here. Just one tile away from you, Marina, you poor, poor thing. So I guess we would have to move maybe Raven aside. Well, there are no bluebirds over here to attack the babies right now, and I know that Jolly is going to grow up on this turn. So I wonder if perhaps it would be a good idea to move Raven over this way, just so she would be able to melt a little bit more of the snow. But the bluebird is turned away from you, Marina. That's a little bit unfortunate. I guess we'll just have you shovel out the snow over here too, as you guys all sniff around for some roots. Nope, it looks like it's just as bare. They're probably a little bit more concerned with this balance bear too. That has to be a bit unnerving. So I think we're ready to skip this day now. Jolly and her new little brother are tucked safely away in their nests, and of course Raven is keeping a very close eye on them. You know, this kind of reminds me of Raven's past too. This wasn't quite as malicious as what Prancer had done to her, but it still does remind me of that. Maybe that's why she's so willing to leave the babies on their own. She knows that they're going to be okay because she was fine when she was a little kid. These bluebirds can be very, very confusing when you're following their flight patterns, so I'm sure Raven figures there's nothing wrong here. But you can bet that our little sky pirate is going to want to fly straight into the sky as soon as he's able to. Unfortunately, his wings aren't quite strong enough to take him into the skies just yet. He can only flutter a little bit to the side before he needs to take a rest. And I guess that'll leave Jolly to pick up all of these nests. We can have her do the work for now, as we go back to the balance bear battle, so we can land our attacks once more. So now you've seen lightning at work, you know the strategy here. You land 2 attacks, and then you scoot back 1 tile, so the balance bear won't be able to attack you on the next turn. We'll have lightning do the same, just 2 attacks, and then jump on back. And how many days are left on the balance bear now? 38 days remaining, and it looks like it's poisoned too, thanks to Miana's influence. Thanks to Adam's influence, perhaps. It's been so long since we've seen those poison fangs in action. That alone must have her tribe in awe. Now let's see if any new roots have spawned up here, now that Marina has unfortunately passed away. Yeah, I don't see any roots out this way, and to be honest, I'm not sure if it would be a good idea for you guys to go scavenging out here alone. You really need somebody with a heat body to carve out those pathways for you. So do we have any roots down here? They would be a little bit easier to see since so much of this ground is uncovered now. But it actually looks like we're running out of roots in general. So clearly our tribe needs to come together again and maybe consult with Flurry. She knows all of the old stories about the deities after all, so she might be able to come up with a way to appease them. It looks like Hawthorne can get just about down to where he was before, and we can bring Kiara over here. She is getting a little bit cold, so it might be time for our tribe to offer up one of their hot springs. And I'll bet that Flurry would be very eager to offer up one of hers. She's going to be so happy to know that Kiara has succeeded in bringing back the Gravedigger's ways. So why don't we have Flurry scoot over to the side? We could have her dig out a little bit of the snow first, and then jump right into this hot spring right here. That way she'll be next to Sparrow this time. Maybe she's a little bit more worried about leaving these babies alone. She's already seen for herself how eager Sparrow is to prove himself too, so she doesn't want to risk his future. Especially with the bluebird locking his eyes on our nursery now. That'll give Raven plenty of time to worm her way around to Kiara's side, so now she should be nice and toasty warm. She has 2 very, very warm creatures right at her side now. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if she has a little bit of a crush on Hawthorne. You have to admit that these 2 have gotten pretty close, and she knows that he is such a grand digger, much better than she is with her 1 digging paw. So maybe she's hoping that she can catch his attention. But with his duty to the tribe, it's probably very hard to connect with Hawthorne. I figured that he would be the type to take on just 1 mate, just like his parents who were so heavily devoted to each other. But now I'm not really so sure. It seems like we could use him in different ways that would perhaps deepen the Balance Sisters' influence over these shores. We have received so much food since the Balance Sisters have gotten involved, and with Raven and Ranger's time closing on this island, they would fear that the Balance Sisters' presence would fade. So maybe this is where Hawthorne could come in. Granted, he does share an immunity gene with each of these 2, so there is the possibility that both of these babies could be sick. But they could also help our tribe in amazing ways, and maybe even give us some traits that we've been missing. Ranger actually has a little bit of the purse snout's influence in her, so I'm wondering if maybe we can pull that out of her genes. We'll use one of her slots to place the purse snout inside, then the other one can go to the Berryina claw to hopefully keep that strength alive in her family tree. Raven, meanwhile, is going to go the more traditional route, at least as far as our earth spirits are concerned. We're going to place both... Oh, the digging trunk of the digging paw? Oh my gosh, I forgot that she already had that there. Well, that's exactly what I was hoping for anyways, so you really lucked out, Hawthorne. I guess we'll have to move Kiara out of the way though. We'll bring her down here so she can go straight over to the hot springs, chasing after her once mentor, Flurry. We could even have Flurry scoot her way over to this side so they can both sit side by side in those hot springs of theirs. On the bluebird? Yes, Sparrow. It looks like you could actually reach it from here. Well, there's no way that you're sitting still any longer. I don't think even Jolly would be able to hold you back. We'll have him lunge into the skies and land his very first attack. And it looks like he'll even be able to land another one too. Now with his 4 in strength, I'm hoping this is going to be enough to take down the bluebirds very, very quickly. He's much stronger than his mother was. And look at that, oh my gosh. 20 new pieces of food already. Sparrow, I don't think our tribe has ever seen a hunter quite like you. You might just attract a new following just like your ancestors. It was actually his grandmother who managed to call plenty of wanderers down from the mountains, just by showing off her unique skills. Oh, and it looks like we have a little root down here too. Excellent, so we can actually lay his mother's remains to rest now. We just have to bring Hawthorne down there first. So let's have him make his slow way over to the delicious morsel. We'll bring you right here, and thankfully with Kiara so close by, she'll still be able to conduct her rituals too. We'll make sure that Marina is set to rest properly, with a little stone to even mark her grave. So that's another spirit set to rest thanks to the hard work of our little digging duo. I wonder if maybe in the comfort of her hot spring, she's trying to think of a way to confess her feelings to Hawthorne. But the birth of this new family might just stop her in her tracks. We'll have both Ranger and Raven breed with him on this turn, and then it might be a good idea for us to set up their nests right here too. They only have 2 days remaining on their lifespans, so while that will mean a little bit of extra food leaving our pockets, at least they'll have the chance to teach the babies about the Balance Sisters, and how heartbroken poor little Kiara must be. Maybe she would scoot her way over toward the shores. If we bring her over here, and if we have Jolly follow her, everybody in this area should be kept toasty warm. I feel like Flurry is probably the only one who isn't feeling a lick of sadness right now. Basically, all of her missions have been fulfilled. She's taught Kiara well, she's welcomed the Balance Sisters to the mountain, so she knows that she is doing an excellent job as an oracle. The only problem is she doesn't have an heir either, and she only has 5 more days to find a suitable partner. To be honest, it might end up being Hawthorne too. With his antennas and his inactive traits, and even some Berryina genetics, he would make a fine partner for any oracle. But it's still not love, and it's not the sort of love that he remembers between his parents. And as for Jolly, I would imagine that she's feeling a little bit torn right now too. She has one wing, but the other one didn't develop quite so well, not like her little brother Sparrow. So while she probably tried to flutter off in his shadow, she found pretty quickly that she's too clumsy for that, so she's forced to stay here, just like how Miana was forced to stay on solid ground. But let's see if we can get a little bit closer to finishing off this balance bear. 35 days remaining, so land your 2 hits, land your 2 hits, and let's see how much more we have left. 21 days, so I think it's going to take 1 extra day to finish off this balance bear. We'll bring Lightning back here, and we'll have Miana scoot back too. Then I think on the next turn we should be able to get our feast again. So that should be all of the turns that we can make. Oh, and it looks like our little piranha fish are circling on the shores again. Perhaps trying to lure Flurry back into a false sense of security. She learned the hard way last time that the Balance Sisters can be a bit mischievous too. They tricked her with a leech. Oh, hello. Another gift from the Balance Sisters? I mean, usually we see the Arctic Ram Foxes as a gift from Anime. But oh my gosh, 2 Arctic Ram Foxes side by side like this? Are they really the only 2 in the entire pack? Unless maybe one of the other Arctic Ram Foxes is back here in the darkness? How strange is that? 2 Arctic Ram Foxes just like our 2 Balance Sisters. And it seems as if they're coming up to inspect these new babies, probably because one of them was unfortunately sick. And how fitting too that it was our healer, so while she does have the sturdy frame to keep her safe from the mountain's cold, she is still cursed nonetheless, taken by the shaman's curse even. 2 home island genes? I mean, technically that is not a bad thing. That means that every single child she has will be guaranteed to receive the home island gene too. So if there was ever a question if this was dying off in her tribe, I think we can pretty safely put that to rest. And as far as her half-sister goes, I see that she doesn't have the heat body, but I'm hoping that maybe this one was a little bit luckier. Excellent, it looks like she has her mother's heat body after all. Her brown fur really connects her to the earth spirits too, and at least she has her father's double digging paws. So we'll name this baby Willow to connect her to her earth spirit roots, and I think we'll name her half-sister Solstice. A desperate plea, perhaps, for the summer solstice to finally arrive, taken from her dull golden fur. And now I think it might be time for us to deal with those Arctic ram foxes. Honestly, it almost makes me think that these might actually be the Balanced Sisters themselves, truly coming up to admire these two babies that were born in their memory. The timing is just far too perfect. But right now, they still pose a threat to our nursery, so we have to make sure that we can take care of them properly. I guess we might as well have Ranger use her amazing strength to take out this Arctic ram fox, making her mother proud just one more time. Raven could go ahead and pick up the meat, and then I guess it's going to be up to you, Hawthorne. As much as I hate to leave you in any sort of danger, you're going to have to protect your new babies too. Maybe we could even have Sparrow fly over here to help? I mean, his strength is only a 4, but that might actually be enough to take this guy down. Oh my gosh! First birds and now Arctic ram foxes too? Sparrow, you are a little legend. There is no doubt that his stories are going to be told far and wide across these mountains. And now it's your turn. I think we should be able to take down this balanced bear on this turn, right? 18 days remaining, so go ahead and land your attacks lightning. Then I think we'll have Miana finish off the job. Will one more do the trick? Oh no, 4 days? It sounds like it's going to have to be you then. But we can still have Miana go ahead and gather up the meat, so she can return proudly to her tribe with her feast in hand. Finally, she figures. Finally, her tribe will look up to her as a true leader. We almost have 100 pieces of food in our stores. And I think if we bring a Raven over here to gather up the meat, she might be able to set us over the edge. Unless maybe someone else could help, like Flurry perhaps. She must be getting pretty curious about all of the commotion over here too, especially with the Balanced Sisters so close by. So let's have her scoot her way around these roots. She can settle down next to Hawthorne, and on the next turn she can gather the meat as a reward. I think we'll probably leave this root right here too, because it would probably be better for somebody like Hawthorne to dig it up. So instead, we'll just have Kiara settle down inside her mentor's hot spring, so she can mark it off for Hawthorne to use. As heartbroken as she might be, she still takes her duty very, very seriously. So I believe all of that sets us up perfectly for the next cycle of weather. And one day it's going to change again. So I think we're going to leave this episode here. That means next time I record, I'm going to pre-record a bunch of videos at once. That way we can make another dent in this endless winter. I apologize if my voice was a little bit rough today too. I'm actually recovering from the flu right now, so I need to go rest my voice and get ready for the next challenge that our tribe will face. But for now, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye guys!